Welcome to Insider Insights podcast, where we dissect everything social media. I'm Maria Ganzo, marketing coordinator at Social Insider and your host for this show, excited to get into the nitty-gritty of everything social media. I'll talk to social media professionals that work in freelance, in-house for a company, and in an agency environment to get the best of all worlds, which is a nicer way of saying we'll snoop around and see how others do it. Let's jump in. In this episode, we'll talk about LinkedIn, one of the most important B2B social media platforms. And from my perspective, there is no better person to talk to about this platform than Dr. Natalia Wichovsky. She is a LinkedIn trainer, personal branding expert, keynote speaker, and the Middle East's leading edutainer. Also, she's the author of Personal Branding with LinkedIn. Years ago, she quit her job and started a new journey. She went on a sabbatical where she changed the way she thinks, talks, and her day-to-day routine. That was the moment when she founded Think Natalia. In this episode, we will discover the person behind thinknatalia.com and some LinkedIn secrets. Hello, Natalia. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Maria. Thank you so much for the invitation and for this beautiful introduction and for all of the opportunities and doors that you have opened over the last month, or is it already years for me?
Years, yes. You and I, we are talking for almost 2 years. You helped me a lot with quotes for my articles, for my handbooks, but we never saw each other. So I'm really happy for this interview. I have a lot of questions for you, but let's start with your journey. Tell me who you were before becoming a LinkedIn strategist and personal branding coach, because I know you have a really interesting story.
So I am a studied social scientist and doctor of philosophy. And when you have that, or that, whatever verb you want to use, the typical job doesn't exist. I know social scientists who end up in HR departments, marketing departments. There are people who go into nonprofit organizations, people who work in education. And I started off in the educational sector, worked there for 3.5 years, then decided, I don't really feel it. I like aspects of it, but there's something that I don't resonate with. Then I changed into private economy. And I worked in marketing because part of me was like, oh, this marketing thing, I love it. Marketing, amazing. And then I realized 2.5 years later, when I was 29 and I saw the 30 on the horizon, and I got a little bit of panic because as a teenager, I made kind of like a deal with myself. I knew how I want to feel about myself and how I want to feel when I'm 30. And the feeling was so far away. I mean, on the outside, everything looked great. People believed that I was successful. People thought that I was happy. But deep down inside, it was a nightmare. So to cut a long story short, I had a lot of conversation with my friends and my family, my mentors, and we all realized that I never did my homework. I was a people pleaser. I was everybody's darling. I always did what other people expected me to do. I went for a safe path and road. And so I decided I quit my job. I go on a sabbatical. And for 9 months, I gave my best to really question everything I ever learned and everything that I ever thought I knew, and created a list of all of the things that were interesting for me. All of these things, we all have this list. Yeah, one day I will do that. And one day I want to learn. And one day I want to explore. And one day I will also experiment. So I realized that one day is today. And try or experiment with different things, with writing and with being a model and with working in a cool agency and with being a writer for a magazine and so many different things, photography and social media. And along the way, I literally failed myself up to my dream lifestyle and dream career. And it's the best thing that I've ever done. And yes, at the moment, as you said, it manifests itself as being a LinkedIn speaker, trainer, coach. I work with individuals, I work with companies. Will I do that forever? Not sure about that. But for now, this is great. And I can see that I keep on evolving and keep on finding different ways of expressing my, let's say, diverse interests, and some people would also call it talents.
And wasn't it hard to make that decision to say, I quit? Because I'm sure that there are a lot of people listening to us right now, and maybe they are thinking, I'm in the same kind of situation like Natalia, but I can't say stop. What was for you?
Yeah, of course it was hard, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. I mean, I was scared. I was afraid of being judged. I was uncomfortable. But everybody that I studied then, and I started to read books of influential people, and I started listening to motivational speakers and to entrepreneurs from all around the world, everybody talked about this comfort zone. And I thought, that's, I think, what they talk about. So I knew that as long as I don't die and as long as I don't physically harm myself, on the other side, there's only growth. So I always ask myself, am I going to die? No. What's the worst case that can happen? I knew that I could always call my mom and go back to Germany and go back to my children's room and just stay there and cry or do whatever I wanted to do. So I said, hey, if I have something that I can fall back on, let me start walking, let me start running, let me give my best to spread my wings and fly, although I have these baby wings. But anyway, you start small, and it is a journey. And again, it's the best thing I've ever done, but the majority of people never start because we create this super terrifying nonsense fears that really 95% of it exists in our mind and will never happen like that.
Yes, people are thinking, well, I have a job. Why should I quit? So, Natalia, I have to tell you that 2 years ago, when I started my social media journey, I didn't understood LinkedIn, how to use it, how to increase my connections, what type of content should I post. But now LinkedIn has become my favorite platform because I understand it. Tell me, why did you choose LinkedIn? Because I'm sure that there were Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also very popular that time.
Absolutely. And by the way, you are great at it. When I work with somebody who has a digital media agency or something, and they talk about, what kind of content should I post? Or what should I use as a freebie or bait? I'm like, well, there's this woman, her name is Maria, check her out. She's really good at it. So I always tell people to check you out and what you do.
Oh, really? I didn't knew that. Wow, thank you so much.
Now you know. So no pressure, keep up the great work. So the question was, why LinkedIn? I started out on Instagram and Facebook because that's what all of my friends did. And after my sabbatical, the first thing that I created was a blog. So it was thinknatalia.com, and it started with a blog. I knew that one day I will make a company out of it and a webpage and everything. But I thought, let's start with a blog because I need to express myself. I want to share my journey. And I believe that all of the fears and insecurities and lessons learned that I went through, if it just helps one person per day, I will live so much happier, and I can spread more positivity, and I can encourage other people. I know it sounds crazy, but let's do that. And I realized pretty quickly that I need traffic. I mean, in order to people to find the blog, to read the blog, I need to tell people about it. So there were two options, at least back then, that's what I thought. Number one, place ads. So invest into Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever. And I was like, no, it's way too complicated. Or you use social media. So Facebook and Instagram, for some reason, didn't work at all. A lot of people would just comment on the picture that I posted as the background picture or the general picture of the blog, or when I was talking about my journey, my lessons learned, my fears, people would just look at the picture and say, I love your smile, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, I want to marry you, are you single? And I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong, or maybe it's not the right platform. And I read a little bit about it, and I realized pretty quickly that Instagram is a teenager platform. So, my target audience is not really on it. So what are the alternatives? So we said Instagram and Facebook, for some reason, didn't work. Then I had Twitter, and I was so afraid of Twitter. I knew that it is a platform where a lot of people just like to rant and start wars, or where people kill each other with words. So I said, there's no way I can do that. Then there was YouTube. And back then I was so afraid to speak, like getting me in front of a camera, forget it. So the last logical consequence was for me LinkedIn. So I tried it and I read everything about it and I tried different things. And in the beginning, I got so much negative feedback because people said, what you're doing is not professional. What you do is Facebook. Stop telling stories. This is a business platform. It was terrible. It was terrible. Some people even sent me messages like, I'm going to report you and you will be blocked forever. You're never going to use the platform again. So I call these people self-proclaimed police officers. But I was nervous. I was literally shaking. But I learned that I need to breathe through it, and it will be over. And I just kept on pushing content. And eventually, 2 of my posts went viral. And this is when I realized, okay, LinkedIn is insane. It's amazing because the organic reach. What was that? 2015. The organic reach was incredible. And then also a lot of people didn't understand the platform, or they used it just for really, really boring, dry B2B content, like a flyer that was created in PowerPoint without any visual guidance, which said, oh, we have 50% off on our latest product. And I was listening to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, and back then he already hammered these values of give, and then ask people to work with you. He hammered that into my subconsciousness, and I read so much about storytelling. So I decided to test all of that on LinkedIn, and it worked out perfectly.
Yes, actually, for me, LinkedIn became the first place where I go when I want to promote my articles, my handbooks, when I need help with quotes from experts. I think today, I think LinkedIn is a great platform. So, Natalia, tell me, what's the most essential aspect of your role?
The most essential aspect of my role?
Yes, or what do you love the most about your job, let's say?
I love the most that I can change it and reinvent it and throw everything away in a second when I don't like it. So the ability to stay flexible, the ability to have a critical aspect on what serves me, what serves my clients, and what is terrible. The fact that I can decide that and that I can change it literally in a week, because my company is small and I will always keep it small, because my core values are not, building this huge business and getting investors into it and then selling it. I'm not the typical entrepreneur. I decided to build a business to support a specific lifestyle. So for me, lifestyle, friends, health, spiritual development is first, and the money and the business model or the business concept that I have behind that supports all of that. And through that, I can help more people. I can live my best life, which is super amazing. But the fact that I can change that anytime, this freedom, this independence, this flexibility makes me incredibly happy.
I love your answer, because I think happiness is really, really important. If you're happy, you can do a lot of great things.
I think so too.
Now that we all know you a little better, let's come back to your book. Because I was saying in the beginning, you are the author of Personal Branding with LinkedIn, the Think Natalia method. What is personal branding?
There are many different interpretations of it. So some people say it's self-marketing, some people call it impression management. Jeff Bezos said that it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. That is your brand. Seth Godin said something beautiful. I'll always butcher it, but the core essence is that your brand is a mix of your stories, what you stand for, how people perceive you, and everything around that, which has a huge impact on the question of, will people do business with you or not? So this is how I see personal branding. It is nothing that you can really touch, but it is everything around you, your communication, your perception, your social media channels, your blog, your colors, your content, the way you move, talk, your friends, all of that is your personal brand, and we all have one, if you like it or not. So instead of being a passive victim of the impressions or what other people really say about you, the art lies in shaping. And it's very important to mention that it's about shaping. It's not totally changing everything, because that would be fake. I would have a look at what are my goals, what are my values, what is the impression of me, and how do I need to shape it, or how can I steer it a little bit more left, right, up, down, wherever you want to go. So again, you reach your targets to get there faster, to get there smoother, and in order to live a better life and help more people.
Great. So I took some notes. Now, my next question is, what are the benefits of personal branding, A, for individuals, and B, for companies?
So for the individual, first of all, what's important when you have your own business and you are seen as a top personal brand, as the expert, as a guru, maven, however you want to call it, you have a higher status. People will treat you a tiny little bit better when you have your own business. You can also charge way more money, especially when you're a coach or consultant, because you turn into a premium or luxury product. If you work for a company and have a great, clearly defined personal brand, the studies that I read, they say you get approximately 10%, a 10% higher salary. Some studies say up to 25, but the majority of studies I read say approximately 10%, which is good. I mean, hey, 10% more money at the end of the month, fantastic. You get more visibility because you post content, people will engage with it, you get invited to certain events. Through that, you expand your social network. We all know that your network is your net worth. Through that, you get more opportunities. Through more opportunities, more opportunities in your private life and in your business life. So these are the core benefits of the personal brand, or having a clearly defined personal brand as an individual. On the company side, like being a brand, a clearly defined brand and business, it's somewhat the same, because it depends on what you're selling. So do you create a luxury product and do you want to be known as the luxury product? Fantastic. Well, then people are willing to pay more just to show off that they have you, that they work with you, that they wear you, that they eat you, whatever it is. Or are you somebody who has the best quality in the market, or somebody who has the lowest prices, whatever? People will definitely choose you because you have a clearly defined value proposition, which is great. You can, through that, again, work with your ideal clients. You can build strategic collaborations with great suppliers, with great clients. You can choose your clients, especially when you work in services and you are so high in demand. That means you don't need to work with those people where you feel like, oh, this is energy sucking. I don't want to work with them. It's going to be annoying. I think, these are the core benefits that I'd like to mention.
Okay, now I understand the importance of personal branding and the difference between individuals and companies. For those who want to discover and learn more about this topic, I recommend you to read Dr. Natalia's book, Personal Branding with LinkedIn. Because now I want to turn our attention to the app. LinkedIn has over 760 million users. How can a person grow their LinkedIn following?
First of all, you need to understand that your LinkedIn profile is not an online CV. A lot of people think that. See your LinkedIn profile as a landing page or as a web page, or if you're not technically, let's say, if you don't like technology, and if all of this talk is like, ooh, for you, see it as a shop window. So you need to make sure that when people see your page, they want to spend a lot of time there. They get curious. You need to tell your story. You need to portray yourself in an interesting, professional, yet approachable way. So have a great picture, have a great background picture. Use a title that is inviting. Tell me your story in the about section. Use a call to action, because then people will connect with you, call you, download your whatever it is that you offer. So make sure that people spend a lot of time on your profile. Second step, make sure that you create content. A lot of individuals that I know, they want to be, or a lot of brands, doesn't matter if it's companies or individuals, they want to be seen as a thought leader, as an expert, as somebody who is the go-to source, but they don't create content. And I see that as a problem, because leaders lead through creating content, and consumers consume, and these are followers. So give me a reason to see you as a credible source. Create the content, start with documenting your journey, as Gary Vaynerchuk always says. So you don't need to create a 10 minutes super amazing video production value, 80,000 US dollars. No, you start with literally taking a picture with your mobile phone, making sure there's enough light in it, and writing 3 sentences, and off you go. So start with something. Then you also need to work on your network, because when you post something, the way how the algorithm works is that your post is going to be shown to a small percentage of your network. So if you have 15 connections on LinkedIn, then not even all the 15 connections are going to see your content. And especially when they don't engage with it, nobody is going to see your content. And this is a little bit sad, because I'm sure that people design content to inspire others, to tell about their story, etc. So it's incredibly important that you also expand your network. So figure out how your dream network looks like, connect with these people, send a contact request message. And in this message, don't pitch, don't hit on people, don't insult people. I know common sense, but some people still do it. And follow up with people once they connect with you. And if you do that on a regular basis, that is one of the fastest way how to grow your brand on that platform.
Okay, so let me sum up. As a person, you have to understand that your LinkedIn profile is not your online CV. It is more like your landing page. And this means you have to make people to want to spend more and more time there. You have to tell your story, post great content, and engage with people. On the other hand, how can you increase your connections as a brand on LinkedIn? Because as a person, okay, I can send those invitations. I have the option to add a note. But as a brand, I can't do this. And how can people find me?
Well, as a brand, you can create a page. Some people call it a company page. And on the company page, you have 100 credits per month. So you have 100 invitations to invite people to like your page. And whenever somebody accepts that invitation, you get the credit back. But whenever somebody declines it or ignores it, that credit is gone. And then you need to wait for another month until this, let's say, tank is filled up. So that's one way. And another smart and sneaky way to grow your company page is to encourage your employees, whenever they post something, to tag your company page at the end of the post. So people will see the post, and when they read through the body, before using the hashtags, they basically tag your company page, and this might make a few people curious, and then they click on it and then they follow. You can also encourage your employees to repost the content of your company page and writing a few sentences, because then they will see the comment and the original post underneath it. As a company page, you have to choose 3 hashtags. And these are the hashtags underneath which you can comment. So make sure that you choose the hashtags very wisely, and then you can go into content. Let's say your hashtag is social media. So you as your company can then go into all of the content that has been posted under the hashtag or with the hashtag social media. And then you can strategically comment Gary Vaynerchuk's $1.80 strategy. Then if you do that, let's say every day with just 3 different posts, people are going to see your brand, and that's another way how to grow.
Interesting. I didn't know the credit secret. I will try using them with Social Insider's LinkedIn page. Now, how often should we post on LinkedIn? Because there are people who post every day, people who post 2-3 times a week. Is there a secret formula? How does the algorithm work?
Well, the secret formula is to be consistent. And that's something that a lot of people can't do. They post, as you said, week 1, they post 14 times, and then week 2, maybe 3. And then week 3, they're like, oh, I'm so burned out. I'm creative. So I always say, you need to understand it is a long-term game. You are not preparing for a 400-meter or 100-meter run. You're preparing for a marathon, or you're talking about kilometers here. So how much content can you produce per week? And can you use this amount? And and kind of post that over the next 52 weeks, like literally half a year. And if you say yes, then this is the right number for you. So I would always recommend with starting twice per week, but then again, posting twice per week over the next 6 months or 12 months. If you say you can do 3 times, fine. If you say you can do 4 times, fine. And yes, of course, there's life and there's whatever. So sometimes you will just post twice and sometimes you might post 5 times. But what is important is that you really show up and that you also engage with your audience. That is incredibly important. Some people also only post, but they never comment. They never answer the comments. And that's a little bit sad, because through that, you're giving away the possibility to actually build a community. And you will not make it on your own without a community. You need a community. You need diehard fans. And you need brand ambassadors, and that all of that will help you in the end get clients.
So the secret formula is consistency, and also make sure you engage with people. If someone took their time to post a comment on your LinkedIn post, make sure you take your time to answer those people. Great. So LinkedIn has LinkedIn stories now. They are available to all users. How do they work, and what do you think about this feature?
I have a little bit of mixed feelings about it, because I thought, how are people, how will they use it, and what are the features? And I'm a little bit spoiled when it comes to stories, because I'm an avid Instagram stories user, and over there I have filters, and I have the swipe up function, and I have funny ears, and I can repost, and I can use hashtags, and I can tag locations, and I can add polls, and I can add the time, and I can add 10,000 things.
Yes, and with Instagram stories, you have a lot more options to edit your stories, while with LinkedIn stories, you don't.
And you don't have, you have a few stickers. You can tag people. You can write something. Okay, fine. Yeah, but that's almost it. So I don't find it, again, as much fun, but I find it good that they are there. So what I decided to do, because again, it's so much fun for me with Insta stories, what I do is I focus on Instagram stories. At the end of the day, I download all of my Instagram stories. I upload them all on LinkedIn. And I realized that a lot of people watch the stories and they regularly comment. And that is powerful. I think I have more engagement on my LinkedIn stories than in my Instagram stories, which is super interesting. So they are great conversation starters. That's something that works, and this is what I like about it. But I hope that in the near future we'll also be able to use hashtags, to have a swipe up function, and to have these small little features to make it a little bit more engaging.
I'm sure that in time will come more features with LinkedIn stories, but I will try your method. I will download my Instagram stories and upload them on my LinkedIn stories. Natalia, tell me 4 ways someone can incorporate LinkedIn stories into their marketing strategy. What type of content should we post there?
So I would use it as a tool to start engagement and to start conversations. And how do you do that? You need to make people curious. You need to give them access behind the scenes. So, I mean, one way of doing it is to literally run around your office or to give your colleagues or employees access to it, and they start talking and they start showing things and aspects, and you have maybe 1 or 2, maximum 3 stories like that, and the full story needs to have a call to action. What do you want people to do? Do you want them to send you a direct message? On LinkedIn, I think that's the only thing you can do, because there's no swipe up. You could theoretically say, our new YouTube video is there, watch it, but then people need to know your YouTube channel. Or our new ebook is there, you can download it on .com/so-and-so. But then again, you can theoretically, because that's also a function that works, at the very bottom right, there's a tiny little bit of an arrow. So you can share stories with your friends. You can't repost them, nothing, but you can share them with your friends. So when you have a launch or when you have a competition or where you change something, you can always, as a call to action, say, share the story or share the great news with your audience. So that's another powerful tool that you can use for your campaigns. From everything that I read, the magic number is, I think, 4 or 5 stories. But you have done you have had a look at the data, so you need to correct me if I'm wrong. But literally, do your 3 or 4 stories, and the 5th story should be a call to action to really get people to DM you, share it, create awareness.
Oh, great. I understand. I have to make an announcement here for those who want to learn more about LinkedIn stories. Social Insider has a complete handbook called Your Guide to Stories. It's a guide that teaches you how to create outstanding and engaging stories on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And one of the chapters, it's called LinkedIn Stories, where I talk about what are LinkedIn stories, what to post on LinkedIn stories, and why should brands use this feature. So go on our website and download the handbook. Natalia, now it is time for the fire round. This should be fun. I'll be laying out 2 or 3 terms, and you need to choose the one that you believe in the most and give your answer as fast as possible. Organic or paid?
Organic.
Photos or videos?
Videos.
Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
Daily posts or only when you have something major to say?
Daily posts.
Dogs or unicorns?
Unicorns.
TikTok, yes or no?
No.
And last one, if you could have a superpower, what would that be?
Superpower. Gift everybody on this planet with a mentor.
Natalia, what are your future plans?
Future plans. Very good question. I want to find more ways how to creatively express myself. As I said in the beginning, I love what I do right now, but I have the feeling that I can do so much more. So looking into how can I become a better edutainer. I'm working on the skill of humor, of comedy, and I post like 1 humorous video every month. So that's a skill that I'm working on a lot right now. What else? The book we've published this year, so that was a big thing on our agenda and to-do list. We wanted to work on our YouTube channel. We finally did that and finished this last week. So that's also something which is good. So for now, I'm really focusing on how can I become more expressive? How can I become funnier? How can I help even more people? That is the biggest goal for now.
Last question. If you could teach me 3 things about LinkedIn, what would you teach me?
That's a great question. I would teach you about the power of strategic collaboration. I believe that a lot of people try to do it on their own, but they don't understand how to literally get free public relations and how to make it work in collaboration with other people. I would teach you an organic strategy, how to generate leads through different things like polls and LinkedIn Lives and DMing strategies. And I would definitely also teach you how to use LinkedIn Live if you have access to it, because I think it is an incredible tool. And if you have access to it, it can change everything. You can be so much closer next to your audience. You can answer your audience questions. You can have amazing guests on your show that you usually wouldn't have access to, and the whole world can watch that as well. And it is a skill. I think video is already a challenging way of expressing yourself, but when you master the art of live video, and you have any other problems in your life and you're like, oh my God, I'm afraid or whatever, remind yourself that you can do LinkedIn Lives in front of, I don't know how many thousands of people. So the other problem is a little bit like, it's nothing.
I have to tell you that LinkedIn Live is my biggest fear, but I'll put this on my to-do list for 2021. Natalia, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing many helpful insights with us. Make sure you connect with Dr. Natalia on LinkedIn, read her book, Personal Branding with LinkedIn, and download my handbook, Your Guide to Stories. Both will help you become a better LinkedIn person. Thank you again, Natalia. It was a pleasure.